Just relax. Just keep your eye on the machine.
On there or there?
Over here.
On there?
Over here. All right. You're walking through a parking lot with your brand new shoes, and you step in gum.
Okay. What kind of gum?
Just regular gum. Just regular chewing gum.
Okay, what color? What color?
It's pink.
Pink?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't wear pink shoes.
No. The gum, not the shoe.
Okay.
All right. You're at a family picnic, and your daughter walks into a beehive.
Okay. Just get a new daughter.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. You're backing your car out of the driveway on a Sunday morning,
Mm-hmm.
and you accidentally run over your neighbor's feline.
Okay. What's a feline?
You know what a cat is?
I know what a cat is, but what's a feline?
Same thing.
Okay.
All right. Well, you are a replicant.
What? All right, welcome to You Gotta See This Movie podcast.
Sorry.
Dynamite drop in, Jim. Podcast of two guys who like to talk about movies, as well as the deeper things that make these stories more than just a movie. And we are excited because today we are talking about
Blade Runner.
Ers.
Blade Runners. Because we couldn't decide on which one to do.
Yeah,
Well, we were definitely going to do the first one.
exactly.
But how can you talk about the first one without talking about the...
Sprinkle in part two.
Are we going to sprinkle it in, or are we just going to
Sprinkle in some Gosling.
dive into it?
Yeah.
Well, let's
Well,
sprinkle it.
Yeah.
Let's sprinkle it.
All right. Well, if that is your type of thing and you're into movies and talking about movies, then please like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And continue supporting us as we reach our goal of 3 to 4 new subscribers.
We got one.
We've gotten one.
So we're like a quarter of the way there.
We're a quarter of the way there.
Nice.
But all right. So, okay. So what is Blade Runner?
I'm going to give you my description. So a Blade Runner is a cop, futuristic cop, set in 2019,
Yeah.
which is not future anymore.
Gosh, that's horrible.
Right. So anyway, this company made these genetic people. They're
Mhm.
genetically crafted people used as slaves on an off-world colony.
Yes.
All right. Some of these slaves got out of control. These replicants, known as replicants,
Mm-hmm.
they got out of control and killing people. Bad replicants. And
Replicant.
they found their way back down to Earth to try to find their creator. They have some words for him.
There's some words for him.
Words.
And some fingers.
And some fingers.
Yeah.
But Harrison Ford plays our hero Blade Runner.
Okay.
Retired, or at least he thought he was retired. And he's got to go chase down these 4 replicants, a.k.a. skin jobs.
Skin jobs.
Skin jobs.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot to unpack in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So, I was looking this up. It was we talked about how like this is probably, it's always up there, one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at a couple sci-fi lists, and I looked up Popular Mechanics top sci-fi movies, Esquire's top 100 sci-fi movies, Rolling Stones. Where do you think Blade Runner lands? And out of 2 of those, they landed in the exact same spot.
It's got to be close to the top.
Yeah.
Because you would think, well, maybe Star Wars is up there, but Star Wars is really more of a space fantasy, not really science fiction.
Right.
It's got to be like number 1, number 2. Got to be.
Yeah, 2 of those surveys, it was number 2.
Okay.
And I think there was another one where it was like number 4. Do you know what the number 1 was? And it was the number 1 across the board on all the surveys.
2001 Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Yep.
Which I do not understand.
You don't like that movie,
I do not like that movie. And I've seen it multiple times. I've given that movie every single chance that one can give it. And
it's long and it's kind of slow.
And maybe, here's the thing. Maybe about that movie, I just don't understand the hype. why people like it so much, because it is a good movie. It's well shot and all that kind of stuff.
It's kind of a picture of the future-ish.
Yeah, but regardless,
existential themes and
yeah.
But
yeah.
Doug Trumbull, the effects for 2001: Space Odyssey,
No,
as
yeah,
well as
of
Blade
course.
Runner.
As well as Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Well, Blade Runner is if I made that list, it'd probably be on, definitely trump 2001: Space Odyssey for me. Okay, so movie came out in 1982, right?
Yes.
1982.
Yeah.
What's your history behind it?
Probably rented it.
Okay.
Because it was, obviously such a popular sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
And I watched it multiple times because I taped it off of TV.
Oh, yeah.
The Channel 5 Family Film Festival.
KTLA.
Heavily edited.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the theatrical version. So that version had Harrison Ford narrating.
Yes, in the beginning.
And throughout, because apparently the audiences were like, what the heck's going on? We don't know what's going on. So he's like, yeah, that's me. I'm a cop. I'm a Blade Runner. Hunting down skin jobs. That's what I do. That's what I do. That's what we call them. Yeah.
And then you get the infamous happy ending at the end of the movie.
Yes.
With them riding off in the sunset.
Yeah. But that was my only version of the movie that I knew of, but still loved it, regardless of the goofy.
Right.
Which at the time it wasn't goofy, but then when you see the director's cut with it not in there, then it was way, way better.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can remember seeing this movie. Obviously being a fan of Star Wars and Indiana Jones, I wanted to see this. And I remember renting it and watching it and just kind of bored out of my mind. And I think, I was pretty young, because I also remember the naked Rutger Hauer at the end. And I know he's not naked, he's in underwear, but him just kind of running at the end and chasing Deckard, that freaked me out. Howling
like a wolf.
Oh. Yeah. And I never felt comfortable seeing that actor in any other movie, which is weird as a kid. Obviously, as I got older, I've gotten over it, but it was always weird. Like it like that traumatized me.
Really?
Just for some reason,
just freaked you out,
he freaked me out, just chasing him and like being in underwear. I know that was a big deal. Like, just why is this guy doing this? Because I can remember as a kid too, not truly fully understanding what I'm watching, and I remember being bored and not really caring for it. But then as I've gotten older and I've watched it again, I definitely appreciated it more. I've watched I saw the director's cut. And now the final cut that they have on this thing. And yeah, it's such a great, great film to watch, or just story in the world that they built in this whole thing. And again, like, I'm a sucker for like evil corporations in movies, like the Weyland-Yutani. And you got the Tyrell Corporation.
Well, was Tyrell really evil? They're just making people.
Well,
but I guess they're making them for slaves, as slaves.
Just making them slaves.
So that's like, that's not cool. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because they can make robots.
So that's the thing. So that's something to clarify with this movie, is that we're not dealing with like robots here.
No.
This isn't like, they're not building robot slaves. They are growing people.
Right.
In every sense of the they're just growing people.
They're growing people.
Yeah.
So then, that calls into questions like, okay, well, do they have a soul?
Right. And I think that was the whole thing.
That was the whole thing.
This whole
especially
story.
In the second, I'm going to pepper in some Ryan Gosling there.
Put some Gosling.
Gosling there. Yeah. His whole thing was like, do I have a soul?
Mm-hmm.
If I was born, then do I have a soul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is highly, even just from the beginning, the opening scene of this movie, and again, depending on the version you watch, well, first off, I love the version I watch. It starts with them flying in, they're going into the Tyrell building.
Yeah.
Which just looks like this like pyramid.
Yeah.
It looks so cool. It's supposed to be Los Angeles in 2019.
Right.
Right. Like you said, but it just looked, it's just a massive building. And then I've got some thoughts on that later. But the only way to figure out which I don't know. There's a lot of like little loopholes in this. Like, well, Tyrell, you could have been smarter about how you made these things because the only way you can figure these things out is through this elaborate test. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a scanner. It
Yeah.
wasn't anything like that. It's pretty much a psychological test.
Yeah, but when you think about it, he identified the snake by pulling the serial number off a scale. But couldn't you just like take the guy's skin cell and there's probably a number on it, right?
Yeah.
Well, unless he created the replicants without serial numbers.
Yeah. See, there's
I don't know,
but I like I'm good with that whole. That's how you figure out who they are.
Yeah, it works.
It wasn't like I'm like, oh, this is dumb. I like that. I like that. Like you're sitting down. It's basically a psychological test.
Yeah.
And it's not simple. And I guess that's because that's what a Blade Runner is. It's a cop specifically to hunt down replicants,
Right.
or that escaped the colonies.
Blade Runner.
Yeah,
That's a great name.
it is.
That's a great title,
Who
right?
wouldn't want to be a Blade Runner?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, do you want to be a cop, or do you want to be a Blade Runner?
Are you a replicant killer? How about a Blade Runner? Ooh,
Right.
Yeah.
Sign me up for that. I'll be a Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Let me show you my car.
I wonder where they got the title from, because they probably got it from something.
Yeah.
Like what's Blade?
Doesn't you, now
it's
that I
just
think about it,
cool.
what does it even make sense? Like, what is? How does that even connect?
Blade Runner.
Other than just sounding cool.
It just sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Well, for me, this genre isn't necessarily my taste in film as far as being dark and violent, that sort of.
I was going to ask you about that.
However, this movie is so dang good. The storyline and the production design is just over the top. I think that's what drew me into it initially is the design aspect of it.
Yeah.
So you had Sid Mead, sort of a futurist illustrator designer working with Ridley Scott on this film to create this world, and it's just over the top awesome.
Yeah.
So that's what really drew me in. But then you got the story, and I always like AI stories too, robots and AI and that sort of stuff. So that's what drew me in. So I overlooked the gun blasts and blood splattering in this one because it is such a great movie.
I was going to ask you, because this is definitely, there's a lot of different ways with sci-fi movies you can go, right? You can go the ultra sterile, clean, like 2001 Space Odyssey or Star Trek, or you can go the dirty, industrial, Blade Runner, Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah. Which one do you kind of lean towards?
Oh, I like the used future.
Okay. Yeah.
Look. I like the. Yeah. You think, I guess, from the mind of a futurist and what they think, you're basically looking to the future and how things are going to progress as a society. And if you have like a real optimistic view, then everything is, white and clean and chrome and shiny. But if you have a little more of a pessimistic view of society and how things are going to progress, then you see overpopulation and dirty skies and old equipment with new tech just slapped on it, which just creates a neat picture. I mean, yeah.
And the heavy Japanese influence.
Yeah.
Which that's still a thing.
Oh yeah.
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 That's still using like even modern day sci-fi.
Yeah. I like the use of neon and mannequins.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's just like, just throughout the movie, it's like, how would you describe a typical scene in Blade Runner? Well, you got to have some neon.
Right.
And you got to throw in some mannequins.
But like, and dark.
And
gritty.
Dark and techie and dirty. And
it's so interesting because like, obviously this is 100% a sci-fi movie, and especially in 1982 when you're talking about 2019. And I know, which kind of sucks because all the movies that we grew up or loved about the future, all these dates are come and gone.
Yeah,
and it kind of does a little messes with your mind a little bit, but this isn't very much because it's hard to say. Like, do you think this is like, because it's definitely like a film noir, noir. Detective noir. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Do you like? Where do you think? What's first? Is it that or the sci-fi aspect? Like, would you say this is a sci-fi movie with film noir, or is this a film noir with sci-fi aspects?
Man, that's tough.
Because there's a lot. I would almost say this is more of a detective film noir film with sci-fi.
Well, that's what makes it a great movie. Is
Yeah.
like you could almost tell the same story, or could you? Well, it is. It's a great story with a great production design.
But
it's hand in hand.
There's a lot of like things that could be sci-fi that just aren't. You know what I mean? And like for instance, like even though there are flying cars, there's not a lot of them.
No.
Like I noticed that, especially in the second one. Like you had this huge city, but you have like one flying car flying across. You know what I mean? It wasn't like some bustling metropolis.
Yeah, and there was even some older cars.
Right.
When the newer one, there was some even just cars just from the 60s that were in there. That you're just like, it's the future, but the remnants of past society are still there.
You're not dealing with laser guns.
No.
Guns are still guns. They might look a little different.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with I don't know, different foods. I don't know. Yeah. It's all pretty, what's interesting is the whole idea about how the animals are gone.
Yeah.
But the only animals you do see are all replicate animals.
Right. And they're
not real.
And they're expensive to make. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that plays into why this movie is so good, because it wasn't, to me, I don't know. I just don't think this movie is as heavy on the sci-fi as people think.
The whole science fiction part is in the making people, the recreation of people.
Right.
That's where the science is.
But again, I think when I first saw this movie a couple of times, I genuinely thought these things were robots. But the whole idea is that when these things die, their insides are just like humans.
Yeah.
Like everything is a human.
Yeah. There's a genetic sequence.
So you're not seeing like a robot part or crazy things like that.
Yeah.
They're just better at doing things.
They're stronger.
They're humans. And that was another thing. Like these things were, for slaves on off-world, I guess, mining, what I think it is. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Basically slaves for off-world. So there's supposed to be no replicants on Earth other than the animals.
Right.
And, but yet they still made, a combat ready one, which was like Batty, Roy Batty's character.
Yeah.
And then an assassin, a straight up killer, which was Pris.
Yeah.
So like they still put these things in these things. And how do you not expect them to just,
at some point,
like, well, no.
Well, you put it in
because they have free will.
Yeah, but didn't they put in their brain like no? I guess you'd have to be.
They'd have to be.
Yeah, I tell you, if you're gonna make a robot or something, just make it sure you can run faster than it.
Make it right, or really, some sort of safeguard,
right?
Yeah, like there's they just like there's nothing in these things. The whole they have free will. They can do whatever they want. The only safeguard they put on them was they can only live for 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of damage they could do in 4 years, Well,
I think what's interesting in this story, what makes it really interesting, is that these replicants, soulless replicants, want more life, and that's why they pimp. Yeah, it's like they know that their days are numbered, and it's like, we want more life, we want to live longer.
Right. And the whole idea too, like that's what that test is for, is to see if they have emotions, because humans have emotions, but they're saying these replicants don't have emotions.
Yeah.
Which throughout the movie, you start seeing that they do.
Yeah, but are they just basically calling up sort of programs in their head to, because especially like with Pris, when she meets Sebastian, and then she sort of plays this little thing like, "Oh, I'm lost. Can you help me?" But then she turns on a dime, and it's just like, then she's got that evil looking.
Well, I think that's her being what she's designed to be, because she's the assassin. I think she's supposed to do that kind of stuff. Where I got is like when Roy at the end, when he sees that Pris dies, he has an emotional response to her dying.
But you know what's weird? It's like when he was howling at the end, I was thinking like, well, why is he howling? It's like, well, is that his impression of an emotional response, and that's what he's doing. Like, is he doing things that he thinks are emotional, even though he doesn't have the
Kind of
emotions?
like if these humans were doing this right now, this is what they'd be doing. This is like his best guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was almost like when he was sad when Pris died. It almost seemed like it was like
He's mimicking.
it was mimicking, like it was over the top. Like, oh, I'm sad. I don't know. Did
Yeah.
you see that at all, or did you take it as him really being sad?
I kind of took it that he really was sad. And to me, like this plays into what happens in the next movie.
Yeah.
Is because we're beyond the whole emotional response thing by the time we get to 2049.
Yeah.
You know, now it's, you know, it's whether, which I have realized that I say, you know, quite a bit in these podcasts. So I'm hoping that
Yeah.
I stop.
You're going to stop. Okay. Do you want me to call you out on it?
Maybe.
Okay.
Anyways.
Well, I've watched this through the years, and I've always thought, yeah, these guys have developed emotions and stuff. It was just this last watch when Roy was howling, and I was starting to think that maybe they're just mimicking that behavior. But I don't know. I'd rather think that he actually did develop emotions.
I think it was just naturally happening.
He did.
I think that was the whole point, is the whole Tyrell thing. Because let's be real, because they wanted to live. And if they wanted to live, they had a fear of death.
Yeah.
So that was developing in them to eventually escape and to do their own thing. And they wanted to, you know, keep living.
Yeah.
But I think that was just one thing where Tyrell, he put emotions in Rachel.
Yeah.
You know, so that it's harder to see.
Yeah.
But he still saw it.
Yeah.
It just took him longer. But I think it was just naturally happened as these things were like developing, evolving, I guess.
Yeah, and they do hint on that, sort of like these engineered beings are doing things that they didn't plan on them doing.
Right.
Like in the second film with Ryan Gosling, or Pepper, he the Rachel gave birth.
Yeah.
Birth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which wasn't planned.
Which not planned, impossible.
Well,
it was never supposed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't planned and was not supposed. Yeah.
So, and that was another thing. So her dying in childbirth, that's how she died. She didn't die because of the whole 4-year thing.
No, because she had unlimited life. From what I understood, that he didn't.
I don't think. Yeah, that was. I think depending on the version we were watching, I felt like we weren't quite sure where we landed on that. If she had unlimited life or she just had more life.
Oh, because I always thought he didn't give her an end date.
Because again, I think the whole thing was at the end with that cop with Edward James Olmos. He was just like, she's gonna die. Like it's gonna happen. But the whole point is like, but we're all gonna die. So so it was almost like enjoy your life, because at any moment any of us can die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Who knows? It was very ambiguous ending.
A little vague.
But yeah, so let's kind of maybe, well, real quick, one thing I do like about the ending of this movie is, you know, again, just like a lot of these good movies, you're not having this good versus evil, even though the replicants were what they were. They were what they were designed to be, right?
Right.
Again, assassin, soldier, leader. But at the end when they're fighting, and again, those 4 replicants, their whole goal was to keep living, more life, right? And I like at the end when he's fighting Decker, and at the end he saves him. It was almost as like, look, I'm a replicant. I know I'm gonna die. Like it's over for me.
He finally realized, yeah, he didn't get.
But
the
I
answers.
value life.
Yeah.
He valued life. He valued the very thing he wasn't gonna get anymore, and he saved him.
Yeah.
You know, when he could have just like killed him, but he didn't.
But he didn't.
Yeah. Naked Rucker Hauer just was like, I'll save you. And
yeah.
What's he say? Like tears of the crying in the rain.
Something like his memories.
Oh, memories are like tears in the rain.
Like tears in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time to die.
Time to die.
It's
kind of sad.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
Like that. Although he killed a bunch of people on his little quest, though.
Did kill a bunch
All of them did, man. They're brutal.
Yeah. Which is, so this whole movie has to do with like eyes, right? And the whole idea of soul, like the eyes are the windows to the
we got to
soul.
talk about the eyes. Yeah.
Because again, that's how they do the test. Which you brought up, the glowing eyes, right?
Yeah. So that was one thing that I've always noticed, which was always creepy about Rachel in particular, is she always had that glint, that little warm light glint in her eyes.
Something you would see like when you shine lights on a cat in the darkness or an animal.
Yeah, kind of. Well, it was definitely in the owl. You could see it in the owl's eyes. And I was thinking like, how, I wasn't sure watching it all these years if it was like intentional. I mean, it would have to be, because you don't normally see that when you see, I mean, you see like light reflecting in a person's eyes no matter what the situation.
Not like that though.
Yeah, but like your eyes right now, I see that little white glint because of the lights in the room or whatever. But she had that really distinct warm glow. And of course I had to look it up. Now I could look it up, just Google it.
Yeah.
You know, eyes and the glint. And the way they achieved it is that they put, and this is for CGI, so there's no way that they could go back in. And I mean, I guess they can animate it, like hand do it. But they put a two-way mirror at a 45 degree in front of the camera. And then from off to the side, they basically shined a warm stage light on just a variac to dial it in. So basically they got that light bounce off of her eye to give her that replicant.
So they'd really have to like kind of line it up perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed in some shots where she was like with somebody, like with Decker close, they didn't do the gag because it probably would have been too difficult. But yeah. And especially like for Pris.
Dude, that was freaky.
Yeah.
Freaky.
And the same thing. They got that one-way mirror in front of the camera and showing that light off the side, and her eyes were glowing.
See, that to me, that's when I like think like animal, because again, she was waiting.
Yeah.
She's waiting to kill him.
Yeah, she's creepy.
And she's got that makeup. Daryl Hannah.
In the room with all the creepy creatures.
Creepy things. I think I was telling you that whenever we get to the scene with Sebastian's house and the little toys come out, it always like, I do a double take. Like I always, for some reason, I always forget that scene's in this movie. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so weird.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite lines is they're my friends.
They're my friends.
I made them. I say that to myself often with the puppets.
Oh yeah.
With the puppets. Yeah. This is Skylar. This is Tiki.
They're my friends.
They're my friends. I made them.
That's good.
Yeah.
Next time I ever hear you, if you're ever being interviewed or something, you say that. I'm not going to keep a straight face.
Yeah, they're probably they're my friends. I made them. But that room, though, I mean, the Sebastian's workshop, man, what a freak show! It's terrifying.
Right.
You got and somewhere, some of those creatures are just still and then just a little bit of movement, and then you got that clown thing guy just doing that funny little laugh,
Yeah.
I mean, that's nightmare fuel right there. How can he live with that, man?
Yeah. That's nuts.
That's crazy.
Pris was pretty freaky, but yeah, just the eyes are really big in this movie, and even too, I always forget the other replicant's name. The other guy, the guy in the beginning, he when he was fighting Decker, he tries to snuff out his eyes.
Yeah.
And then that's how Tyrell dies.
Yeah, he got his eyes.
That's a bad way to go.
I read that in the European version, they actually show his thumbs going into his eyes.
Oh, really?
It's like, yeah.
Oh, they show it in this one, in the final cut.
No, like really going into his eyes.
Oh, really?
Like really like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this one, they just kind of see it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a horrible way.
That's all about, and I feel bad for the eye guy. Your eyes.
You know what?
I design your eyes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
The guy, right? He's just in there working, and they go in and yank on his tubes, and
right. He's
like
in that,
and he
that cold room.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah. It's the guy from Big Trouble in Little China.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did Sebastian get away? Do you think he got away?
I think he did.
I like to think he did.
Yeah.
We never saw what happened to him.
No, he has that weird disease. He's 25, remember? How old are you? I'm 25, but I got a gland disease that makes me look old.
You think you'd be able to fix that?
Right.
I mean,
no.
Mm.
But yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, for some reason, whenever I see movies, because I see a lot of movies, and I see a lot of people dying and all kind of stuff, and it just doesn't faze me. But whenever someone does that to the eyes, it makes me squirm.
Ooh.
You know, I don't not look away, but it's just horrible.
Ooh.
Anyway, so yeah, Tyrell gets it good, gets his eyes taken out.
And again, he's got them big old goofy glasses.
Yeah.
You think they could fix that, but no.
He did. They were like crystal edged.
Yeah. But it's all part of the design, though.
All part of the design.
Yeah.
His whole house and where he, they're building, like I said, it was like a pyramid. And I think it was intentional because it was, again, you're dealing with these whole themes of like creation and Tyrell living in this pyramid.
He's like a god.
Was like a god.
Yeah.
And I don't think he feared his creations at all. Like when they came into his house. Like, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't scared.
Yeah.
He straight up said, "Yep, you're going to die. There's nothing I can do about it."
Yeah, we tried.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Come here and let me hug your head.
Yeah. Let me give you the head hug. You don't want the head hug.
Daddy, here's a head hug.
No.
But yeah, so that whole thing, this movie, these replicants, they're just trying to live,
Yeah.
both freedom and live longer.
Yeah.
And then when we get to the second one with Gosling, they're now in protective mode, right? Because they know this secret. They know this secret of, wow, we can actually give birth.
Right. Yeah. You stumble onto
this
that.
Can happen.
So he's a cop, Gosling,
Blade
Runner, and he's looking for replicants because there's still a few around.
But there's a twist.
There's a twist.
Yeah.
What's the twist?
He himself is a replicant.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he knows it. We know this from the beginning.
He knows it. Yeah.
His name's K.
K. He doesn't get a name. If you're special, you get a name, but you don't get a name.
Right.
It's just K. Yeah. But now he's out hunting.
So we see this movie through pretty much him because he's pretty much a slave.
Yeah.
So we kind of see it through his eyes now and not that of a human.
Right.
And
you really feel for him.
Right.
You do. He's got, it's almost like he's accepted his life because of who he is, but he's not happy.
Right.
Or can he be happy? Can he be? I don't think he
Which
can
was
be happy.
interesting. He said something in the very beginning when he shows up to, which I like the contrast between the two movies on the opening scenes. One is like very dark industrial.
Yeah.
This one's, solar farms, organic.
But
it's really cool.
But it's still a dystopian.
It's still
future.
dystopian.
It's still
even more dystopian at this point.
Yeah.
But with the guy, he it's Batista. That's his real name. I don't know the name of the movie. He says something. How can you do this to your own kind? And he says, "Oh, we're not the same kind." And he goes, because my version, when we're hunted, we don't run away. It was almost as if, they finally put something in him. So there is that level of an acceptance, like I know what I am, and I don't know if that's a choice or it pretty much sounds like that acceptance is forced.
Yeah.
Because he even came into it thinking that he wasn't going to run away. Just like, all right, well, I know what you are. You know what you are. It's been good. You had a good run. Look in this thing. Look to the left.
Right.
So it was just an expectation of like, you're not going to run.
Right.
Because we don't run no more. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, but then there's a good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's when we find out that he was there the whole time protecting the site.
Okay, so do you think he was really protecting the site, or did Decker have this farm and Rachel were there and they had the kid and that history kind of no, because he knew about it though.
He knew about it.
Because
that's what he said. Like you change when you witness a miracle.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Like
for some reason I was thinking
person.
he like just moved in afterwards, but no, he was there during.
He was there. And even at the end, they even say like, he knew what he was doing by dying. Like he had to die with that secret.
Yeah.
So, to protect the child.
Yeah.
So what I don't understand is, or I kind of understand, is the whole idea is that this child would force a giant war, right, between replicants and, like, if word got out,
right,
between the replicants and.
Well, what I can figure out is why were there so many replicants on Earth fighting? I guess, I mean, why would there be that many unless... I just thought it was odd that there was like this whole underground of replicants when I thought they were only supposed to be off-world.
I think that's what they were supposed to be.
But there a bunch of them didn't make it back, I guess.
They hint at that thing called the blackout.
Oh, yeah.
They keep talking about that, right? So the blackout was some things, like everything for days, there was no electricity anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think in that time, things opened up to where the replicants can get places. You know, it was kind of like a starting over point.
Yeah.
And there were bigger issues and bigger things they needed to take care of than keeping the replicants on a planet. I do think that there's more replicants in this movie than there are actually humans.
You think?
Yeah, I do.
Well, there can't be.
There's Tyrell, not Tyrell. The other guy,
you think
Wallace.
You think like the
he's human.
Like the human population is.
No. I'm just saying the characters we see in this movie.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like the story.
No.
Oh, okay.
I think there's more replicants
in
this movie than actual humans.
Yeah.
So I have a did you know?
Okay.
Do you know who originally was supposed to be Wallace before it was crazy Jared Leto?
I did not know. I do not know.
He sadly passed away right before they were going to film this movie.
Oh, really?
It's going to be David Bowie.
Oh, David Bowie.
David Bowie was cast to play Wallace.
That would have been cool.
The blind guy that just sits in a room.
Yeah.
Like, that's your office? Really?
Yeah.
How much work can you get done?
Well, he's got those eyeballs that fly around. His
eyeballs.
Remote eyes, his remote electronic eye things. Yeah.
But I really enjoyed too, and I liked the change of story from, wanting to just survive to, I guess, just wanting to thrive at this point, like to be a thing, to live and to.
Well, what I liked about the second one is that it really it picks up where the first one left off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought was really cool, because it wasn't like, oh, we're just going to tell the same type of story just differently. Right. It was really a sequel, and you really need to know who Rachel was and what her history was to really understand what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
I like sequels like that where it's just like, it's not the next adventure of this person.
Right.
Unless it's Indiana Jones, because that's just how that character is designed.
That's different. Yeah.
But movies like this where it's just, no, the old characters had their moment and had their thing, their story. And let's piggyback off that, but yet we're going to follow a new character and have his moment. And then, bring in Harrison Ford at the final at the end of the movie, which I thought was great. Like, you don't need Decker. I mean, I like the whole idea of like the character Decker's out there and they're looking for him. But yeah, I think it works perfectly.
Yeah.
Then it makes a whole another, story. So,
and it answers the question, as to what happened to Decker and Rachel in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's about them living their life together, and then she has a kid miraculously.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was confusing because, and I had to kind of stop and figure it out. So she had the kid, and they knew they had to hide the kid, and they falsified the records to make it look like there were two
kids.
But why would they even have records on the kid if the kid was hidden? Who were they? The records. I guess once you're there, everybody knows you're there. I don't know.
I think there was they just knew eventually, they're gonna find out.
At some point,
eventually, they're gonna find Rachel. Eventually, they're gonna find Deckard. So
you might as well
we got to make it, as hard for them to find this kid as possible.
Maybe it was registered as Deckard. not her
Maybe.
kid, because it can't be, right?
But then again, like I think we go back to that whole the blackout thing.
And
I think
Rachel might not
again-
have any identity at all either. She, you
Right.
know, as far as, you know, if she's a product of Tyrell, she probably off the
Well,
grid.
that was the thing.
She's probably off the grid, right? Nobody knows who she is or where she
He
came
went
from.
back to the Hall of Records.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, this is an old one. We don't know because of the blackout. We don't know if there's going to be information on her."
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of it did get lost. But that was another thing. Like, you know, how they find the serial number on her bones.
Yeah.
They really had to magnify that.
Yeah.
Like to really see that. Like,
yeah.
like you did a lot to make sure you see that.
Yeah. And then they basically made it look like there was two kids, basically just throw them off. But they had the two individual, like a boy and a girl, but they had the same DNA. And they're like, no, this shows that there was only one person.
Yeah.
And then it was just a great plot twist too, because you think, oh, it was a boy. No, it was a girl.
Well, for most of the movie, you think it's the boy.
You think it's the boy. And
In fact, you think it's Gosling.
And you think it's Gosling. You think it's him.
Yeah.
And you feel really bad for the guy,
You
right?
really do. For some
reason.
reason, I didn't feel this way the first time I watched it, but last night when I watched it, I was like, this poor guy, he wants to belong. He wants to be to something else. And he wants to know, like, he starts thinking like, oh my gosh, that's my mom. Like I have a mom.
He wants it. He wants
and he wants to know about her.
Yeah.
And he starts asking people about her.
Yeah.
And then the dad, then he's like, Dad, because then he starts thinking, I have these memories.
Yeah.
And he's got all these feelings of a mom and a dad and even, bad memories.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's like, no, you're not it.
Heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
Totally heartbreaking. Poor guy.
Yeah.
And that police chief she treated him like a slave. She just treated him like a slave.
She did.
Yeah. You've got along this far without.
Yeah.
one.
You don't need a soul.
You don't need one. You're doing fine without it. Yeah.
But that whole idea of belonging and wanting was like showing like there's something there.
Yeah.
That, shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And you can't fight it. I think that's the whole idea. In the first movie, you can't fight emotions.
Yeah.
You can't suppress them. In this one, you can't fight that whole feeling of wanting to be belonging to something.
If this was a Disney movie, then it would have been that. Oh, it is his dad.
It is his dad.
He is the miracle.
Right.
He has purpose and
He's
a soul.
the chosen one.
Yeah. He'll stare at the end. He'll stare off with the snow on his hands, looking at the sky with purpose and meaning.
But see, even then at the end, when he finally like, I'm going to go against the grain and I'm going to go rescue him.
Yeah.
I think he's doing that, even though he knows that's not my dad, but he has these memories as if it is his dad.
Yeah.
And so in his head, he's still like, I know I'm not your kid, but I've got this attachment to you that I cannot let go.
Yeah.
And I'm going to rescue you. I'm going to save you. Now I've lived my life. I'm going to, no one's going to ever find you again. Go see your kid.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great, what a hero, like just a good character and a good, I always argue that you rarely get really good character development in film. Usually you get good character development in TV shows or books or whatever. But this one's really good.
Well, the other thing too, it was the dying for a purpose.
Yes.
He felt that at least if he's doing something purposeful by helping, saving, even though he dies, at least it's purposeful. Maybe there's something redeeming. Maybe his life will be redeemed in some way if he does die for the right reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could argue like, if we all have souls, we all have a purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Good movie.
Really good.
And just
good
good
movie.
bookend movies. Like it's just part 1, part 2. Really good. Both different directors, but yet I don't feel like, I don't feel like, I'm watching 2 different movies.
Yeah. Well, Ridley Scott had his hand in the second one.
Yeah.
He's producing it. So.
Yeah, that's true.
It is weird. Why didn't he direct it? Why didn't he?
I don't know. I think he was doing the Aliens movies.
Oh, yeah.
The new ones, Prometheus.
Yeah.
And,
so he'll get this other guy to direct and he'll just.
Which he picked an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Denis Villeneuve. I always butcher his name.
Wait, I think Denny.
Denis
Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's actually turning into one of my new favorite directors.
Okay.
Haven't seen a movie of his that I don't like.
Yeah.
And I will die on the hill of his best movie is the movie called Prisoners. Everyone should see it.
Yeah.
Fantastic film.
Yeah.
That's what, matter of fact, Prisoners is what got him this job. So,
okay.
anyways.
The cars are cool too.
The cars are cool.
The spinner is cool.
Yeah.
No, you know what I like about the spinner is like with most like future movies, like they have flying cars. These ones you can land and they got wheels.
Yeah.
You can drive it around like a car, or you can fly it too. Right. I know. I just thought it was cool.
You choose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The spinner is pretty cool.
Oh, we got to talk about the soundtrack too.
Okay. Yes.
The soundtrack.
Let me grab it.
Grab it.
Okay.
Show our people the soundtrack. I got that CD. Look at the CD. It's very worn out.
It's very worn
because
out.
I played it a lot.
Yeah. Do you know what the last song is called?
I should, but I don't. Rachel's song. No. It's called Closing Credits.
Tears in the Rain.
Tears in the Rain. Wow.
Yeah.
Vangelis. Vangelis is the composer. And from what I understand, he is a 70s composer, and he primarily worked with electronic devices. So he's all about the electronic devices. He coined the term new age music.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was a big deal in the 70s for being this hip new age electronic artist
yeah.
with a cool name, Vangelis.
That is a cool name.
What a great soundtrack. Like,
yes.
Wow. Production design, you got the soundtrack, you got a great story.
Good movie.
Great movie. Great movie.
All right. Well, that being said.
Yeah.
It's time for Trivia Battle.
All right. Let's do it.
Trivia Battle.
Do you feel like this is kind of more?
It is.
Should be more
a
a little bit more
side.
that side. More that side of the table.
Sound guy Joel, I saw the base for this on your 3D printer. What happened to it? Didn't print?
I don't want to talk about it.
Doesn't want to talk about it.
Probably because I bumped it when I went in his room.
3D printing is not as easy as you think.
Yeah, but this was 3D printed. Look at that.
Sometimes you get lucky.
It's awesome.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I see those people that 3D print for like a living, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
I know how you don't wake up in the next morning and you're like, oh my gosh, filaments everywhere.
Maybe that's what happened. Doesn't want to talk
Is that what
about
happened?
Well,
Something
you
like
said
that?
you bumped it?
No, I'm just saying maybe
Oh,
I
yeah, you
bumped it.
cannot bump it.
I did definitely. I was very careful not to touch it because it was moving. I'm like, it's printing the base for the Duke.
Well,
and
I went to check on it, and the filament roll had fallen off the machine.
Okay. Okay, but I didn't touch
Mine
it.
does that on purpose. Like I had to get something else because that is it. I'm pretty sure we had the same 3D printer, and it naturally does that on its own.
That was the first time that it ever happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It wears
I was
down.
very careful not to touch that thing
Yeah.
because I was really excited about the Duke stand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I need to say Trivia Battle again because my
Okay.
volume was low. Trivia Battle. I had 7. This was a hard movie for trivia,
I could see why.
I can see why.
and I only did the first movie, and I had 7 questions, but you answered one of them by talking about it.
Classic.
Yeah, which was how old is JF Sebastian?
Mm.
He was 25.
So, I always feel like I'm aware of what could be a trivia question, and I
Mhm.
always try to stay clear of those questions. I blew it.
Yeah.
But we have 6 questions.
All
So who is going first?
You know what? I think because, Jim, you saw this movie first,
Mm.
you can go first.
All right.
All right. Question 1. What is the number of the police car Deckard gets picked up in at the beginning of the movie? We actually we see the same car multiple times throughout the film.
Bro.
It is.
I think if you get this one right, you're probably going to win.
I
everything.
should know this. And it was that real funky, looked like Nintendo font on the car, right?
It is
Yeah,
kind
you
of
were-
a,
we
it
were-
is kind of a goofy
Yeah.
font.
Yeah, even the fonts, a lot of the graphics were just really just weird, but cool weird. It was 3 digits.
Yes.
4 is in the digit, one of the digits, the number 4. He's not saying anything. I want to say it's like 454, but I don't know what it is.
That is incorrect.
454. 4. I don't know. What is
I
it?
feel like it starts with a 5.
I think it's 5.
I'm gonna say 5509.
It's 3 digits. You've established that.
Oh,
We just looked at the graphic
That's
before
funny.
we came
We
in
did.
here. And we looked at the
Both
graphic
did.
and I didn't pay attention to the numbers. I thought it was 4.
All right.
see, this is what I mean.
answer
Like we could end this in a tie.
is 995.
995.
Yes.
It's that crazy font.
995.
There's something else that was a 4.
It's a code in my luggage.
Must have been a different cop
We see
car.
it when he gets picked up a couple times. You see it when the door closes. You also see it again when the captain guy checks up on him after getting the first replicant. And he's like, 4 more to go. What do you mean 4? 3. We see it again. It's the same car.
I really wanted to get a spinner for the thing here. I might keep an eye out for a cheap one.
That's cool.
They're expensive.
Yeah,
What do you like, the old one better or the new one better?
old one. Well, the new one was cool
The
too.
new one's crazy cool.
Yeah,
But for nostalgic reasons, I like the old one.
yeah.
All right. Next question. What floor is Deckard's apartment on? He says it. We see it 3 times.
The 4th floor.
No. That is incorrect.
Great. I have an opportunity to take a wild guess.
Yeah. And at least one of your yeah.
It jumped out to me, and I'll say why once you guys are done guessing.
I don't think it was that tall. It was the Ennis house.
It was the Ennis
That doesn't
house.
give me a number, but the Ennis
Mhm.
house, that famous Frank Lloyd Wright house that's been in a bazillion movies. With that cool Rocketeer.
Predator 2.
That's right, Predator 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say he was on the 7th floor.
Close.
That's my wild guess. What?
It was the 97th floor.
Oh yeah, you're totally close.
97. Was he in a
that-
building that tall?
That's why it jumped out to me. I was like, well, in this dystopian future, of course you have
Buildings are huge.
Buildings
yeah,
are
I mean,
so huge.
Yeah, they were that huge.
I
They
guess
were
that
huge.
makes sense. It
He's
wouldn't
on
be-
this crazy
Yeah.
high floor in some huge building.
You know why? You know why I'm thinking it's not tall? Because I'm thinking the Ennis house the whole time, and it's just like a single story.
Yelling like an idiot. All right,
All right, next question.
that's your question.
Mm-hmm.
What was the color of the spider in Rachel's implanted memory?
That's a good question. I
That's
don't know
a
it,
great question.
but that is a good question.
Green. The green spider. Obviously, it's wrong because he's not saying anything.
You got half.
Green and yellow. The green and yellow spider.
Not quite. Michael, do you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, green and red.
What's the Christmas?
The Christmas spider.
Christmas spider.
That is incorrect.
I don't know. We both got it wrong.
If either of you guys got both colors, I would have gave it to you.
Green and black.
Nope.
Green and blue.
Okay.
I'm running out of colors.
The answer was it was a spider with an orange body, green legs.
Yeah,
Kind of a
that
weird
sounds
combo.
made up.
That totally sounds made up. Where'd you get that dream from?
Yeah.
All right.
Orange body, green legs. All right, next question.
Okay. We
That-
both
that
got
was-
0-0.
That was a good trivia question, though.
That was a good one. That's a fair one.
Yeah.
How many windows does Zora run through while fleeing from Deckard?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Whose question is it?
it's mine.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna think too. I always thought it was like too many, but
It was a lot. Are we just talking about the very end part, or was there more windows that she runs
We're
through?
talking about the very end when it's the music slows down.
Yeah, yeah.
She's running through all the windows.
Was it just 2? It's because it was almost like a display thing where she goes through one side and then out the other.
I counted each pane. So if you're counting a display as 1, you would rather want to count it as 2.
I thought, yeah, she goes through one window through the display and then out the other side. So I didn't know there were more than that. So that's my answer too. You could probably steal if you double it. It's probably 4.
I'm seeing in my mind's eye that there were 4.
Well, if you take the pane, then they're both sides, and obviously they're probably 2 and 2.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I think she went through 4. Like she went through a couple, and then we come back, and then she goes through 2 more, hits her again.
They're all different too. I went back and watched it to make sure that these were all different windows that she went through.
It was either 3 or 4. I'm gonna say 4. How many windows?
It was 5.
Oh,
She goes through 5. The last 2 she goes through is the snowy display with the fake snow in it, and that's why it looks like
That's
it's
the one
snowing
with the
in there.
display. Yeah.
now
She went through a lot.
The
of windows.
first 3, it's like she goes through one because she's running, then she goes through another one because she gets shot,
Mm.
and then
Oh,
she
right.
goes through 5 of them. That last 2 are the ones where she's dying.
Right.
you know, and of course she's wearing that clear vinyl
Mm-hmm.
jacket, which is gross because you can see the blood and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's
Oh, how
the
come-
next question because it relates.
But I have a question for you. How come that never took off? I
Clear
mean,
vinyl?
like a vinyl
It
jacket.
did back in 2019.
Did they have clear ones? Because it seems like for the purpose of being of warmth,
Yeah.
you could have something clear. Why has it never taken off?
I don't know. 2019, before the pandemic, I remember a lot of people wearing clear vinyl
Really,
jackets.
I don't remember.
You don't
any-
remember that?
I don't remember any clear. I mean,
Yeah.
I have like a yellow,
everyone
like a
did.
yellow tinted ones.
No, clear vinyl, man. 2019.
Okay, I got to look it up. 'Cause maybe I just didn't. Because if I saw somebody with a clear,
I'm just making that up.
oh, okay. 'Cause I'm thinking like, man, I have this. Because I'm thinking if I saw anybody with a clear jacket, which makes sense because purposefully it still
Yeah.
keeps you warm, right? I just always wonder why it didn't take off.
Yeah. Anyways. all
Okay,
right.
sorry. Anyway,
The next question is how many times did
Your
Zara get
question.
shot?
oh, how many times? Wait, who's
It's yours.
is mine?
Actually, I think I know this one.
And that gun's cool, right? That gun's
Yeah.
cool. That's a way cool gun. If I was a gun prop collector, that'd be the number 1 gun. I think it's cool.
Over Han Solo's blaster?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, how many times? I don't know. 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. 3rd time's a charm. Bam, she's down.
That's what I would have said.
Uh,
So, did you get it wrong and I can guess?
Yep.
I got it wrong.
4.
Nope.
It's 5.
It's twice. He
Twice?
He shoots at her 4 times, misses the first 2, hits the second 2.
Oh.
In fact, it seems that every time he killed a replicant, it took 2 shots.
They're tough.
Except
Except
for
for when
Leon,
yeah.
who got blasted through the head.
Got blasted in the head.
And that's what's
by
weird
Rachel.
when like a replicant's like hit or dying.
Yeah.
They start to freak out like a machine where they start like malfunctioning. Like when they
Pris did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like they just start to malfunction. They start like flipping out.
She's like she's broken.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right, last question.
What's the score here? I don't think we're getting any of these.
0-0.
0-0.
I think it's my question, right?
Mhm.
I have a chance to win this right now.
Right now.
What was the last number Roy counted to in his fight with Deckard?
That's right. He did some little rhyme count
Because
rhyme.
he's counting up. He starts counting to give him time to run away, but then it kind of just persists into the chase.
6.
That is incorrect.
It was a count with a little rhyme or something. You know,
This is it right here.
I met Rutger Hauer.
Did you
I
really?
did.
Oh,
He was
should have brought that up earlier.
I know. Well, he was really good friends with the owner of the company I worked for,
Mm-hmm.
and we were making a custom exercise workout trailer, like a high tech
Really?
mobile portable gym, not gymnasium. What do you call workout training? What do you call that? Gym.
The gym?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was big, all like high tech, custom metal stuff. That was his project.
That's cool.
He was going to make these things and then rent them out to studios for like Schwarzenegger, like when he wants to like work out.
Oh,
between
right.
the
Yeah,
scenes.
that was something Schwarzenegger always demanded was the weights.
That
for his
would
movies.
have been his thing. So yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, so yeah,
That's cool.
kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a celebrity that's like, yeah, I'd like to meet that guy.
Yeah, the guy I was working with at the time was a huge Rutger Hauer fan, and he flipped out. I got his autograph and everything. Yeah. 7. My number is 7.
That is correct.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, that's sense memory. Yeah.
Oh.
He's counting up. I thought it was going to be like 4 or 5, but as I'm watching that scene, I realize he keeps counting as he's changed, but he stops at 7 because I think that's around when they get to the roof.
So I win.
Yes.
Here comes the Duke. Here comes the Duke. There you go.
Got it.
There you go. All right.
Wow, what a pulled it off, man.
That last question, we waited a little bit, gave you a little
Yeah.
story, and
But did you
bam!
know it was 7? Did
I
you drag
guess
it out?
no. I just guessed
Okay.
number 7 because it rhymes with like we're not going to go to heaven or something like that.
I don't even remember him doing a rhyme.
I thought he did a rhyme with the number.
He definitely, he's doing little rhymes like
Oh,
tiny.
wow.
I don't remember the rhyme specifically, but he starts doing it right after he has his moment with Pris. He starts kind of getting sing-songy and howly.
Mm.
Okay, well, that was good. You know, I kind of expected this, so I'll have it for now.
You're still really disappointed though, even though you expected it.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just don't like it.
you were hoping for a
Agreed.
tie.
Yeah, I was hoping for a tie.
Yeah.
Really was. Okay, so what are your final thoughts on the movie and ranking? And is this a movie you got to see?
This is definitely a movie you've got to see.
Okay.
I mean, it's got to be on the top 10 movies you've got to see. Absolutely. Ranking wise, this would be a solid 10 for me. However, the dark, violent nature of the film is not my bag.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a solid 9.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it wouldn't be a 10. If,
Right.
you know.
No,
it's
I'm
a
with
9
you
for
because
me.
this isn't a sci-fi film that I'm like, ooh, I want to watch like every year.
Right.
You know, even like leading up to this podcast, I knew I wanted to talk about this film,
Yeah.
but even we're like, all right, this is the Blade Runner week, and I'm like, but am I even in the mood to watch this right now?
You got to be in the mood.
And I put it on, but then I immediately like, oh no, now I'm in it, and I enjoyed it I
Right.
enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
But you got to be in the mood for it. So yeah, that is a good take that it's not a 10, but a 9.1 for me. And I don't know, I love this 4K edition. Like I was telling you, like if you're ever going to get a 4K TV, if you're ever going to get a 4K player, this needs to be the first movie you buy because this looks amazing on it. For a 1982 movie, just the detail of like the Tyrell building.
Yeah.
And the cars and the spinner that's flying around is just, it's beautiful.
Doug Trumbull, man. Douglas Trumbull.
Yeah,
Close
they
Encounters.
really.
Close Encounters.
Yeah,
Space Odyssey. This movie, man, he knows how to make.
he knows how to make a good sci-fi film.
Yeah.
But it really made this again. This, God, how long? How? Well, 1982. So, 43 years.
Yeah.
43-year-old movie looked like it was made.
It's still visually
Still
stunning.
visual stunning. So.
Yeah.
I like this movie. I do agree. This is a movie that you got to see. It might not be a movie that you like, but I think everyone should see this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, a 9.1, probably 9.2, because that Rutger Hauer performance is really good. He really is.
Everybody's
He's this
performance
crazy
is great.
psycho guy, but at the end you feel bad for him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
crazy. Now again, let's go into the part 2. What's your thoughts on that? What's your ranking of that?
You know, it's the same thing, and it's a solid 9.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's just by the nature of the movie, but man, it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But you almost have to give more credit to the first one for the visuals they pulled off at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the second one, yeah, you can CG everything,
Right.
but super cool,
Super
looked
cool.
great, yeah.
Yeah. And Gosling, sprinkling in some of that Gosling.
Oh, he's great. Yeah,
He was good in the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
everyone's good. Yeah,
I love Harrison Ford, and I like that they brought that character back, but you know,
It was
I was
glad
good just
that
watching
Gosling was
I was
in it
good
because
just
he
watching
was-
a movie about him.
yeah, yeah.
So
did such a great job.
yeah, I agree. Definitely both movies you got to see, and yeah,
Blade Runner for sure, and then just jump right into
the next one,
make it an event, make it a day.
2049,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool because we still have that to look forward to.
Oh,
as far as a date,
we might be able to, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 49, not too many movies are in the future where we're like, oh, hey, that date's coming.
We've got time to trash the planet.
We got
time to make bug farms.
Bug farms.
Yeah. So we're good. We got a chance.
We got a chance.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that does it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys who made it this far. Please let us know, what are your thoughts on the Blade Runners, on both of them, and whether or not, just whether or not you liked it, and if it's a movie that you gotta see. So, all right. Well, again, please like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.